When a damaged Zalari girl is rescued by a human mechanic after a deadly crash, their unlikely partnership sparks a revolutionary leap in biomechanical integration, changing the galaxy forever. The salvage beacon pierced through the void of space like a desperate scream. Jake Martinez wiped grease from his calloused hands as he guided his converted mining vessel toward the distress signal. 23 years of fixing busted machinery on backwater stations had taught him to recognize genuine emergencies from scavenger traps. This one felt different. The quantum signature was Zalari, and the Zalari never called for help. Control, this is Salvage Runner 77 Beta responding to Beacon Charlie 99, Jake transmitted, his weathered face illuminated by the green glow of his instruments. ETA to distress coordinates in 40 minutes. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Static crackled back. -77 Beta. Return to station. Military en route. Jake's jaw tightened. Military response meant a 3-hour delay minimum, and distress beacons had a tendency to go dark when help took too long to arrive. He'd seen too many. Good people die waiting for proper authority. Control, beacon is degrading fast. I'm closest responder. He switched off his comm before they could order him back. The wreckage came into view like scattered stars against the black. What had once been a sleek Zalari science vessel now drifted in pieces, its bioluminescent hull plating flickering. Weakly, Jake maneuvered through the debris field with practiced precision, his scanner picking up one faint life sign buried deep in what remained of the ship's core. Hang on, whoever you are, he muttered, extending his ship's mechanical arms to carefully pry apart the twisted metal. The Zalari girl couldn't have been more than 20 in human years, though her species aged differently. Her pale blue skin was marked with the distinctive silver neural pathways that glowed faintly along her skull and down her spine. But what made Jake's breath catch wasn't her alien beauty. It was the massive section of bulkhead that had crushed her lower body and left arm. Her eyes fluttered open as Jake's emergency medical scanner swept over her. They were deep purple, like earth violets, and filled with pain that transcended species barriers. Please, she whispered in accented standard, don't let them take me to a medical facility. Jake frowned as he worked to stabilize her vitals with his field kit. Hey, you're hurt bad. You need proper doctors, not some grease. Monkey with a first aid certification. Her remaining hand, gripped his wrist with surprising strength. You don't understand. My people, they will declare me defective, non-functional. They will... Her voice broke. They will recycle me. The casual way she said it hit Jake like a physical blow. He'd heard rumors about Zalari society's approach to disability, but seeing the terror in this girl's eyes made it real. In her culture, physical imperfection meant death. What's your name? He asked gently, checking her bio readings. Zara Kaveth. But Zara is sufficient. She struggled to speak through the pain. The experiment, it was supposed to prove that damaged Zalari could still contribute. Instead, it nearly killed me. Jake looked at the readings on his scanner and felt his heart sink. The damage was extensive. Her left arm was gone at the shoulder, her right leg at the hip, her left leg barely hanging on by damaged tissue. Even human medicine would struggle with injuries this severe. Listen, Zara, he said, making a decision that would change both their lives. I'm not letting anyone recycle you, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Her purple eyes searched his face. Why would you help me? I am not even your species. Jake thought of all the times he'd been written off. Too poor for good schools, too rough for corporate positions, too stubborn for military service. He'd found his worth in fixing broken things, in making the discarded functional again, because everyone deserves a chance to prove they're more than the sum of their parts. Jake's workshop occupied 3 levels of an abandoned mining station, on the edge of human space. It was part junkyard, part laboratory, and entirely organized according to a logic only he understood. Robotic arms hung from the ceiling like mechanical spiders, and every surface was covered with salvaged components from a dozen different species technologies. Zara lay on his makeshift medical table, kept stable by a cocktail of alien and human medical technology he'd jury-rigged together. She'd been unconscious for 2 days while he studied her physiology and planned his approach. "You're insane," said Dr. Sarah Chen through the video link. She was Jake's only friend with actual medical credentials, currently serving on a research station 3 systems over. Zalari physiology is completely different from human. Their nervous system is bioelectrical. Their muscle fibers are crystalline-based and their bones contain quantum-resonant materials. You can't just slap some human prosthetics on her and hope it works. Jake rotated a holographic display of Zara's anatomy, highlighting the damage. "I'm not planning to use human tech. Look at this. Their neural pathways are basically biological circuitry. If I can interface mechanical components with their quantum resonance frequencies..." "Jake, you're talking about creating an entirely new form of biomechanical integration. This isn't fixing a broken hyperdrive. One mistake and you could kill her." "She's already dying," Jake said quietly. "Her people think she's dead. I made sure of that. But her bioelectric field is degrading without her missing limbs to complete the circuit. I've got maybe a week before her entire nervous system shuts down." Sarah's image flickered as she pulled up her own technical files. "Send me everything you have on Zalari physiology. I'll see what I can do from here, but Jake, even if this works, she'll never be able to go home." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing." Zara woke to the sound of precision machinery and the smell of ozone. Jake was hunched over a workbench, his hands steady as a surgeon's, as he assembled what looked like a robotic arm from components she couldn't identify. "You're awake," he said without looking up. "Good timing. I wanted to show you this before we proceed." The prosthetic arm was beautiful in its complexity, sleek silver metal intertwined with fiber optic cables that pulsed with soft blue light. But what caught her attention were the quantum resonance crystals embedded along its length, perfectly matched to her species' bioelectrical frequency. "How did you..." she began. "Turns out Zalari mining equipment uses the same quantum crystals as your bones," Jake explained, finally meeting her eyes. "I've been trading for them for years without knowing their biological significance. The hard part was figuring out how to make human servo motors respond to Zalari neural impulses." He showed her the interface port, a delicate web of biocompatible conductors that would integrate directly with her nervous system. "This is going to hurt," he said honestly. "A lot, and there's no guarantee it'll work. But if it does, I'll be the first of my kind with mechanical augmentation," Zara finished. "A abomination by Zalari standards, but perhaps something new." Jake nodded. "Something new. The question is, are you ready to be a prototype?" Zara looked at her remaining hand, watching the neural pathways beneath her skin pulse with fading light. "I was designed to be a test subject for biological enhancement. Perhaps being a test subject for mechanical enhancement is not so different." "This is different," Jacob said firmly. "This time you're a partner, not a subject. Every decision we make together." The surgery took 18 hours. Jake worked with the precision of someone who understood that every connection mattered. Every interface point was critical. Sarah guided him through the neural mapping process via remote link, while Zara remained conscious through much of it. "Zalari physiology making anesthesia dangerous. Neural interface is stable," Sarah reported as Jake made the final connections. "Bioelectric flow is... actually, that's remarkable. The quantum crystals are amplifying her natural electrical output." Jake watched the fiber optic cables in the prosthetic arm begin to glow with the same soft blue light as Zara's natural neural pathways. "How do you feel?" Zara stared at her new arm in wonder. The fingers moved when she thought about moving them, but more than that, she could feel the texture of the medical table, the temperature of the air, even Jake's pulse when she placed her hand on his wrist. "It's more sensitive than my original arm," she whispered. "I can feel the electrical fields around me, the quantum fluctuations in the station's power grid. How is this possible?" "The crystals aren't just conducting your bioelectricity," Jake realized. "They're enhancing it. You're perceiving things your original biology couldn't detect." Over the following weeks, they repeated the process with her legs. Each new limb brought enhanced capabilities. Her left leg contained gyroscopic stabilizers that gave her perfect balance, while her right incorporated micromagnetic generators that let her adhere to metal surfaces. The integration wasn't just mechanical, it was evolutionary. 3 months after the crash, Zara had adapted to her new body in ways that amazed both her and Jake. She could interface directly with the station's computer systems, her quantum-enhanced neural pathways allowing her to process data at incredible speeds. Her enhanced senses let her detect problems in machinery before they failed, and her perfect balance and magnetic feet made her invaluable for external repairs. "You realize what this means?" Jake said as they worked together to repair a damaged solar array. Zara moved across the station's hull like she was born to it, her prosthetics perfectly adapted to zero-gravity operations. "That I am no longer Zalari?" she asked, though without sadness. "I suspected as much." "No," Jake said. "It means you're the first of something entirely new. Biomechanical integration at this level. It's not just prosthetics, it's enhancement. Evolution." Their conversation was interrupted by an incoming transmission, Zalari military frequency. Jake's blood ran cold as he recognized the ship configuration on his scanner, a Zalari research vessel, heading directly for their station. "They found me," Zara said quietly. "Dr. Zara Kaveth," came the transmission in the melodious Zalari language. "You are required to return for debriefing regarding your failed experiment and subsequent rescue." Jake started to respond, but Zara placed her prosthetic hand over his comm controls. "I will speak to them," she said. "This is Zara Kaveth," she replied in Standard, making sure Jake could understand. "I regret to inform you that I am no longer suitable for Zalari society." "Explain," came the terse reply. "I have been modified, enhanced with mechanical components. I am no longer biologically pure." The silence stretched for long minutes. Finally, "Show us." Zara stood in the docking bay as the Zalari delegation disembarked. Their leader, senior researcher Keth Navor, approached with the measured steps of someone encountering something potentially dangerous. "You live," he said, surprise evident in his musical voice. "I live," Zara confirmed. Though not as I was, she demonstrated her capabilities, interfacing with the station's systems through touch, lifting heavy equipment with her enhanced strength, moving with impossible grace despite her mechanical limbs. The Zalari delegation watched in fascination and growing horror. "Abomination," whispered one of the younger researchers. "Adaptation," Zara corrected firmly. "I am what I chose to become, not what I was forced to be." Keth Navor circled her slowly, his own neural pathways flickering with deep thought. "The integration is seamless. How is this possible?" "Human ingenuity," Jake said, stepping forward. "Your people have spent centuries perfecting biological forms. Humans have spent centuries learning to adapt, to overcome, to make broken things work better than they did originally. And you believe this hybrid is superior to pure Zalari form?" Zara answered before Jake could. "I believe I am what I was meant to become. Your experiment failed because you tried to force biological enhancement without understanding that some problems require different solutions. The human," she placed her prosthetic hand on Jake's shoulder, "understood that true enhancement comes from integration, not isolation." The senior researcher's neural pathways pulsed with what Jake had learned to recognize as deep consideration. "The Zalari Council will want to study you." "No," Zara said simply. "I am not a subject for study. I am a person making her own choices. If your people wish to learn about biomechanical integration, they can ask, but they cannot take." "And if we simply retrieve you by force?" Jake stepped forward, his jaw set. "Then you'll have to go through me, and you'll find that humans are really, really good at protecting the things we care about." The standoff lasted 3 days. During that time, more ships arrived, human vessels responding to Jake's emergency beacon, and additional Zalari forces, backing up the research team. But something unexpected happened. Other species began arriving too. "Word is spreading," Sarah reported via comlink. The galactic net is buzzing with reports of successful biomechanical integration. Apparently, there are a lot of people out there who could benefit from this technology. A Corvan delegation arrived, representatives of a silicon-based species that had struggled with organic mechanical interfaces for centuries. Behind them came Thraxian merchants, interested in the commercial applications. Even a secretive Void-born collective sent an observer. "You have created something unprecedented," Kethnivore admitted as they watched the growing fleet through the station's observation deck. "Not just the technology, but the implications. If beings can be enhanced rather than replaced, it changes everything," Zara agreed. "No more disposing of the damaged, no more writing off the imperfect. Everyone gets a chance to become more than they were." Jake watched the ships positioning themselves between the station and the Zalari forces. "Looks like the galaxy agrees with you." The Thraxian merchant captain had been particularly vocal about the implications for worker safety in hazardous environments. The Corvans were already requesting technical specifications for their own research. Even the mysterious Voidborn had transmitted a simple message: "Innovation protects innovation." "My people face a choice," Kethnivore said finally. "Adapt to this new reality or be left behind by it." "There's a third option," Jake suggested. "Partnership. Zara and I have proven the concept, but scaling it up? That's going to take resources, expertise, and cooperation from multiple species. The Zalari could be part of something bigger than any one culture." "And Zara Kaveth?" Zara's prosthetic hand found Jake's flesh one, their fingers intertwining. "Zara Kaveth died in that crash. I am simply Zara now, partner to Jake Martinez, and the first of what I hope will be many who choose enhancement over limitation." 6 months later, the research station bustled with activity. Representatives from 24 species worked alongside human engineers and Zalari biospecialists to refine the biomechanical integration process. Jake's workshop had expanded into a full laboratory complex, and Zara had become the unofficial ambassador for what the galactic community had begun calling the Hybrid Initiative. "Patient 7 shows complete neural integration," Zara reported to the mixed species medical team. She moved through the lab with fluid grace, her prosthetics now so advanced they were indistinguishable from biological limbs except for their superior capabilities. The Corvan crystalline nervous system actually adapts more readily to quantum interfaces than originally anticipated. Jake looked up from where he was training a group of Thraxian engineers on human mechanical principles. "Any rejection responses?" "None. It appears that the key insight, using each species' existing quantum signatures rather than forcing universal standards, applies across all biological types we've tested." Dr. Chen's image flickered to life on the main communications screen. "The medical implications alone are staggering. We're not just talking about prosthetics anymore. This is preventive enhancement. Workers in hazardous environments could be augmented before injury occurs." "The military applications," began one of the human observers, "are not our focus," Jake interrupted firmly. "This technology is for healing, for enhancement, for giving people choices. The moment we start talking about weapons, we lose sight of why we're here." Zara nodded approvingly. It was an argument they'd had dozens of times with various governmental and military representatives. "Our success depends on trust. The moment people fear this technology will be used against them, cooperation ends." A new patient arrived that day, a young Zalari researcher who had lost both arms in a laboratory accident. As they prepared him for the integration procedure, he asked Zara the question she heard most often: "Will I still be myself?" "You will. Be more yourself than you have ever been," Zara assured him. "The technology doesn't change who you are. It gives you new ways to express it." The Galactic Council's recognition of the Hybrid Initiative came with unprecedented fanfare. For the first time in recorded history, a joint human-alien research project received the Council's highest honor for medical advancement. Jake stood at the podium, uncomfortable in his formal clothes but determined to represent their work properly. Beside him, Zara wore ceremonial robes that accommodated her prosthetics while highlighting rather than hiding them. When I first found Zara floating in that wreckage, Jake began, I thought I was saving one person. I didn't realize I was helping to start a revolution. The assembled delegates, representing thousands of species from across the galaxy, listened with rapt attention. The hybrid initiative isn't just about replacing lost limbs or damaged organs. It's about refusing to accept that anyone is beyond help. It's about looking at what others call limitations and seeing opportunities. Most importantly, it's about remembering that the measure of a civilization isn't in its technology. It's in how it treats those who need help the most. Zara stepped forward to add her own words. I was raised to believe that physical perfection was the highest achievement, that damaged goods should be discarded rather than repaired. The human Jake Martinez taught me that true perfection comes not from avoiding damage, but from learning to transform it into strength. The applause was universal, but Jake noticed that the loudest came from the section reserved for enhanced individuals, beings from dozens of species who had undergone their own biomechanical integration procedures. 1 year ago, I was dying. Zara continued. Today, I can interface with quantum computers, perceive electromagnetic fields, and perform precise mechanical work in environments that would kill unenhanced beings. But more than that, I am free to choose what I become, rather than be limited by what I was born as. After the ceremony, as they stood on the observation deck watching ships from across the galaxy prepare to depart, Jake felt a familiar sense of completion. Not the end of a project, but the satisfying click of pieces falling perfectly into place. Any regrets? He asked Zara. She flexed her prosthetic fingers, watching the quantum crystals pulse with soft light. Only that it took a near-death experience to discover what I was capable of becoming. And now? Now we see how far this can go. The applications are limitless: environmental adaptation, space exploration, even artistic expression. We've proven that the line between biological and mechanical is arbitrary. The question is, what do we build next? Jake smiled, already mentally cataloging the components in his workshop. Whatever needs building, that's what we do. We fix things, we improve things, and we help people become more than they ever thought possible. In the distance, a new distress beacon began transmitting. Jake and Zara exchanged a look and headed for their ship. After all, there was always someone else who needed help, and they had proven that the best solutions often came from the most unexpected partnerships. The galaxy had learned that when humans and aliens worked together, the impossible became inevitable. And for Jake Martinez and Zara, the girl who had lost everything only to gain so much more, that was exactly as it should be. 5 years after that first rescue, the hybrid initiative had established research centers in 12 star systems. Biomechanical integration had evolved from emergency medical procedure to elective enhancement, allowing beings across the galaxy to adapt to harsh environments, perform impossible tasks, and express their personalities in entirely new ways. Jake and Zara continued their work together, but now as partners in every sense. Their relationship had evolved as gradually and naturally as the technology they pioneered. Two minds working in perfect synchronization, biological intuition enhanced by mechanical precision. The workshop that had started as Jake's private salvage operation now employed representatives from 47 species, all working together to push the boundaries of what it meant to be alive, conscious, and capable. And at its heart remained the same principle that had driven Jake to answer that first distress call. Everyone deserved a chance to prove they were more than the sum of their parts. In a galaxy that had once seen differences as divisions, the hybrid initiative had proven that true strength came from integration, not just of biology and technology, but of hope and possibility, of past limitations and future potential. And sometimes, late at night when the research stations were quiet and the stars seemed close enough to touch, Jake would remember that scared alien girl floating in the wreckage of her ship, and marvel at how saving one life had ended up changing the entire galaxy. That, he reflected, was the most human thing of all, the stubborn refusal to accept that anything or anyone was beyond saving.